Ever questioned whether those who around you genuinely care about you, identifying telltale indicators that someone is only abusing you and not really wishing you well? Welcome to a profound dive. Turn it into a subject that can change your partnerships with your perspective on the world. 10 indicators that someone is only abusing you and shows no concern for you in this video. We'll look at subdued but powerful indicators. Things can suggest someone isn't really not so much in you as in their personal gain. Using a Stoic methodology lessons, we'll learn about how to recognize these indicators and take action to protect our mental well-being and our most important connections. So let's begin with a lack of patience and an attitude in challenging occasionally when circumstances are difficult. Most importantly, we need someone to be by our end. It appears as though a polite remark or hugs have the power to change everything, but you are aware of what occurs when that person merely lacks the endurance to. You feel as though they are abandoning you. In the midst of a hurricane by yourself, without even turning around to check on yourself. I recall once experiencing a really stressful moment. I was thinking about a lot of things, many concerns, and I just needed to let it out to someone. Therefore, I made contact with someone I regarded as supportive and someone dependable, yet to my astonishment and disappointment that somebody just didn't have time for me, it appeared as though my worries took precedence over yours. And it was at that point that really hurt me. The instant I understood how a lack of being patient shows a lack of thought, it appears as though the individual is apologizing, but your issues don't be as important as mine, and that's not nice. I just remembered a line I read from. He mentioned a Stoic philosopher named Seneca. The secret to anything like this is patience. Reprieve from bad luck, and that makes a great deal of sense, because when someone is kind to us during trying times, at times it provides us with great comfort, like declaring, "I'm here for you at all times." What occurs? Thus, if you've ever been through an experience such as this, understand that, more importantly, you're not alone. Recognize that someone who deserves you the tolerance to hear you out as you really present when you need them, yet not accept less than that, since you merit the greatest second behavior. Reciprocity is among the most crucial. In any relationship, reciprocity is comparable to giving and getting. It seems like a natural equilibrium. It occurs when you support someone, and you anticipate their presence for when you require them to. But my friend, when it doesn't occur, it's actually frustrating. I recall one instance in which I discovered that I was always willing to assist, regardless of the circumstances. There I was prepared to assist, but what I observed is that, at the time I required it, no one was present. They just appeared when they required a certain item, and that ultimately left me feeling a little disturbed. And this passage from there is a Seneca that is really powerful. There is nothing more pathetic than love. Someone who is unloving us is similar to. He is speaking candidly about this deficiency in reciprocity. Adoring a non-recipient love us back, or doesn't make an effort to that love, is similar to that in that. Don't you feel let down when we invest? It's reasonable to invest someone's time and efforts. Anticipate a small amount in return. Yes, I'm not referring to anything substance, but the presence of support-loving elements that contribute to all of the distinction in a friendship or any other relationship. Therefore, if you're in this circumstance where you're constantly perhaps giving more than you're getting, it's time to reconsider certain issues. It's crucial to value who you are and look for more harmonious partnerships, where the reason reciprocity is two-way is ultimately you ought to have individuals by your side who are as eager to assist you as it is your duty to assist them. That creates a genuinely meaningful and healthful connection. Third mindset, disregarding your sentiments, friend. How have you ever felt someone didn't care about your sentiments? It's an odd sensation, similar to when you're there, letting your heart open and hope that someone is aware of what you're going through, and they just act as if it was irrelevant. There once was a moment when I revealed myself to someone and shared my sentiments, discussed what was upsetting me, but the response suggested that I was speaking with a wall. I felt as though my sentimentality was treated as though it were irrelevant, and that's a difficult situation. Because when we're so vulnerable, we're embracing vulnerability. We have faith that the someone else will comprehend and assist us. Yet it seems like everyone ignores us when we of that collapses aside. A wise man named Marcus Aurelius stated something that is entirely reasonable in this contextual time, is like an unbridgeable river. Contact the same body of water twice due to the water that has already passed won't return. Once more, savor every second of existence. The reminder in this saying is that life is brief, so we shouldn't squander it among those who don't give a damn about what we sense the disregard for. It can be detrimental to other people's feelings, undercut confidence, and have a significant impact on our self-worth. Is something you should have. Those that listen to us and value us, who honor our emotions. Thus, if your sensation that your emotions are unimportant, perhaps it's time to reconsider. Someone that partnership you are entitled to. Those who are supportive, encourage you, and make you believe that your emotions are important. Fourth, absence of attitude is important. Life occasionally throws us these times that are really important. At moments when we require a companion side, whether to offer assistance or just to there, and once that individual vanishes, it shatters your heart. I recall a time when I was going through a very difficult period. Needed a confidant with whom to vent, just show up and speculate as to what the guy simply failed to appear explanation. It appeared as though I was all alone yourself in the world, and then this remark that feels like a gut punch. Living with your eyes closed is easy. Misjudging everything you come across, as though it's discussing the individual who vanishes during trying times. Perhaps they simply don't want to see anything. The significance of being in the room when it's actually important. It's as though critical times indicate a deficiency in dedication, such as if the individual vanishes. When you most need them, do they genuinely concerned and dedicated to this? It's time for you to end this connection, and consider that connections are based on mutual assistance and trust. If someone refuses to stick by your side, perhaps when things are tough, it's time to review that partnership. In the end, you are deserving of having those that are present by your side. In both good and bad times, those who grasp your hand when it seems like everything challenging, since it is what distinguishes a genuinely strong and deep connection. Fifth, attitude tricks and takes advantage of you. You can tell when you're feeling like you're experiencing an emotional upheaval. This is one of those occasions where you acknowledge that your feelings are being manipulated, and dealing with it is difficult. Using manipulation of emotions in partnerships are similar to a punch in the stomach, making you gasp for air and perplexed. I've experienced that. I can recall a day when I understood that my emotions were being exploited against. It seemed to me that the other individual I was only a piece in a game that be relocated in accordance with their desires is a terrible emotion. The saddest part is realizing that you're being tricked. Yet, simultaneously, whenever you feel stuck and unable to get out, you feel as though you're in an emotional cage that one is unable to escape. The secret to releasing oneself is where the idea of Stoicism enters. As Epictetus once stated, "No man is free who is not such a strong self-master." Phrase serves as a helpful reminder of keeping command of our own feelings and ideas. When we have the chance, by mastering ourselves, we are able to be free. To fend off the manipulative emotions, others' emotional control can make us feel helpless and frail, yet we must acknowledge that while we can learn to identify the telltale symptoms of deception and we can take the necessary precautions to shield ourselves against it. Enhance our capacity for emotional resiliency by developing a stoic attitude that permits us to bravely confront hardship and calmness. It needs guts to face emotional blackmail and put an end to, although difficult, it is attainable. Never forget that you deserve to be in partnerships, founded on genuine regard for one another. Never allow somebody to manipulate your feelings, and reduce your self-esteem to what it truly is, are very much my friend. If you're experiencing an instance of emotional blackmail, recognize that you have the support of others, authority to alter this circumstance and build a life devoid of manipulation and abundant in sincere affection and regard. Have confidence in yourself and never undervalue your own power. Sixth sense. Inner strength is not maintain their deceptive word, promises that you can recognize when they're made, things to you, and then just doesn't follow through. It's a necessary step. Something depresses you immediately, like when you're eagerly anticipating something, and after that, nothing occurs in trust. It's far too frustrating in the end. Is time-consuming, much like a house of cards, building process, but it simply requires a breathing to stop, and when someone fails to fulfill their commitments, it's as they blew too hard once, I seem to recall. Promises made to me after this happened, assurances, but ultimately nothing materialized. I was somewhat let down. Difficult to trust once more when that confidence had shaken is a term that comes to mind. Effectively captures this circumstance. Trust takes years to construct, moments to shatter, and it takes a lifetime to fix, like a broken O. Even when we reassemble it with adhesive, the always when someone doesn't, cracks appear. Abide by their word on what they like, though they're tossing a pail of cold. There's that water in our relationship. Sense that we can't rely on the individual, despite our desire to do so. And the worst aspect is that it's not only impact our connection with that individual, but we also grow closer to others. Suspicious, more withdrawn, and no one deserves to live that way out of fear once more, feeling let down. I consider the manner. The goal is to always strive to be sincere. Fulfill our commitments even if building in that manner is challenging, deeper and more authentic connections, where since trust is the cornerstone of everything, the lesson is to be someone else can really believe in. And if someone betrays have faith, and don't isolate yourself from there are still a lot of people in the world. There are people you should trust. Sixth, you feel bad about certain behaviors, because actions you don't commit. Occasionally we discover ourselves in this uncomfortable circumstance in which everything appears to be going awry, and then someone arrives, pointing accusingly and putting, "You are solely to blame." It's as if one of those film sequences in which you play the exploiter, even though you haven't done anything. Have you had any negative events? That sense of remorse that you have for, it's awful that you didn't do something. Similar, like a large weight falling on your shoulders, turning away from you, panting. I recall an occasion when, even if I was aware that I had done nothing, I was wrongly accused of being at fault. It was irksome, as you are aware. It seemed like regardless of how hard I tried to clarify it, not mattered, and that's when I understood something significant, like to the epic Titus, a highly intelligent man from antiquity, stated that an intelligent man is never troubled by remorse, because he is aware that he done his best, could use the understanding he possessed at the I felt that, quote, was unfair at the time. We shouldn't be too affected by guilt. People occasionally accuse us because it's simpler than dealing with their own accountability. They may be undertaking through their personal issues and ultimately blaming us without thinking about it. The repercussions, so what should I do? First, when this occurs, take a deep, don't allow unfair guilt control your breathing. You recall that you tried your hardest to what you had at the time. Try it again to speak and give your version of events. Communication can sometimes be a big problem solver. Lastly, don't bear this weight by yourself. Talk to a trusted confidant occasionally. The simple act of releasing it can lessen the unfair burden on your heart. Guilt is like a looming black cloud. However, we can't allow it to deter us from going forward. Never forget what you accomplished. The very best that you are capable of. Important eighth acts that are disrespectful and inconsiderate. As soon as you commit yourself to someone who is really concerned and regard, and all you get back in exchange is contempt and inconsideration, it's difficult, isn't it? I've experienced it, and I'm aware of the letdown that can occur when someone shows you disdain and disdain, as though they're stepping on above all that you hold dear in a partnership. It seems as though your vital is disregarded, your thoughts minimized, and nobody was trampled by your feelings. Merits to experience that, as I recall a period of time when I committed myself fully to someone, went above and beyond to ensure their days better, and I was rewarded with only apathy, and even harsh language was a severe blow. An awakening to the brutality of certain individuals. I can now remember a quote that was beneficial. Me thinking about this: if you so choose, treat yourself with respect. To be respected by others seems easy enough. But if we don't, it's a fundamental truth. Respect for ourselves if we don't prioritizing ourselves before expecting others. It's crucial that you respect us, to discern when we're acting belittled and refuse to put up with this kind of conduct that we won't tolerate, make every one of us feel less than what we are. Merits must be handled with respect and thoughtfulness. If someone is insulting you, it's time to move on. Boundaries: discuss with that individual how you're feeling and express it. You're not going to put up with this kind of care. If the circumstances still doesn't get better, perhaps it's time to reevaluate the person's involvement in. Live a life that is steadfast in your beliefs and keep others from making you feel. Be gentle to yourself and avoid feeling inadequate. Fear removing yourself from individuals that don't respect your happiness and well-being comes first. Mindset: disregard for your. Have you ever felt that your efforts were putting everything into a relationship, but however, all of your efforts were disregarded? It's one of those circumstances things cause us to question our direction. Incorrect, isn't it? I recall an instance when I did all in my power to make someone happy. Devoted my time, effort, and affection, but in exchange, all I got was apathy. It seemed like my efforts were in vain. The individual as though I weren't even there, their eyes, and I won't lie. That stings. It's among those aches that go unnoticed, gradually consume us, eroding our self-worth and prompting us to consider the worth of our individual efforts. But then I recalled an Epicurean quotation that made, upon reflection, it's not what befalls us, however, how we react to what occurs to us. It is true that it hurts us, don't we? Cannot command what other people do, but we are in charge of how we respond to things. Therefore, rather than allowing myself to get depressed by others' disregard, I made the decision to look, I thought, inwardly about the worth of my initiatives and understood that even if they weren't accepted by the individual, they remained crucial, as they originated from the heart. And that was what was most important. It's critical to acknowledge and appreciate reciprocal efforts in a partnership following. That's what makes the bonds stronger. Between individuals that creates the basis for friendship and trustship. If you're experiencing a difficult time, similar to realize that you're not by yourself. It's common to feel defeated in the face of others' apathy, but don't allow might prevent you from carrying out your. Despite everything, your efforts are valuable. Not everyone acknowledges them, therefore they being the wonderful individual you are, and keep in mind that you deserve a person who appreciates and acknowledges all that you do. 10th attitude vies with you. For display supremacy, you can recognize when you're thrilled to share a success such as anything you've put a lot of effort into achieve, and the individual you are thinking about doesn't appear pleased for you anymore. They don't appear to want to let you down. Costs, as if your victory were a threat to them. That's a challenging issue to tackle, because truly, who wouldn't want the support of friends in moments of achievement? I remember when I landed a cool employment after months of hunting. I was happy, eager to inform everyone, but when I communicated the news with this person, instead of being delighted for me, they started chatting about their own accomplishments, trying to show me up. It was like they couldn't just be joyful for me. You know, it's an awful feeling because you want to celebrate your successes with the people who matter to you. But when the person is always competing, it undermines all the positive energy, and you start to question if they actually care about you or if they're just concerned with getting better. I often remember a phrase I once read, "It is not rivalry but cooperation. That is the true meaning of life." I think that fits perfectly here. Life isn't a race to see who's the best or who achieves the most. It's about how we can work together, support each other, and grow together. When someone is constantly competing, it creates an atmosphere of tension and mistrust. You don't feel comfortable sharing your accomplishments because you're afraid the other person will try to diminish them or assert superiority, and that, my friend, is not healthy for any relationship. If you're dealing with someone who's always competing with you, it's important to talk about it, express how you feel, and try to understand the reason behind this behavior. Sometimes the person may not even realize they're acting this way, but remember, you don't have to engage in this competition. Keep celebrating your own victories and supporting others in their successes. 2. In the end, the true meaning of life lies in how we can help each other become better people. In summary, understand when someone isn't really interested in you and only uses you. This can be seen in various ways: lack of patience in difficult times, lack of reciprocity, ignoring your feelings, being absent in crucial moments, emotional manipulation, breaking promises, making you feel guilty for no reason, disrespecting you, not recognizing your efforts, and even competing with you. So what to do when we notice these signs? Well, it's crucial to take care of our emotional health and our relationships. Recognizing these signs is the first step to protecting ourselves from harmful situations. It's not easy, but taking steps to distance yourself from the person may be necessary to preserve your happiness and well-being. Now, about the Stoic teachings, I believe they can be a powerful source of inspiration. They teach us to live virtuously, to find inner peace, even in the face of adversity, and to cultivate relationships based on honesty, respect, and reciprocity. So, how about seeking some of that ancient wisdom to guide our actions and choices? Finally, I want to encourage you to share your experiences in the comments. Dialogue is essential for us to grow and learn together. If you've been through situations like this, or have any questions, share them. Let's build a space of mutual support and reflection. Together, we can strengthen ourselves and create healthier and more meaningful relationships. So count on me, and be sure to subscribe to the channel. We're on this journey together. And it's always good to have someone to share our experiences with and learn from each other. My name is Ricardo. A big hug, and God bless.